So does everybody know this Mangalacharan? Om Ajnana Timirandasya? Yes, no?
Yes, Prabhuji, I know.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Somebody doesn't know, please, by this 1 year or next 6 months, please try to by heart it. It's part of our curriculum. And I'm just assuming that everybody knows this. Okay. So I didn't go into checking. But this Om Ajnana Timirandasya, that and then the Mangalacharan is very essential. So ideally, by end of this Bhakti Shastri, you all should be in two aspects ready. One is from a preaching perspective. Number two, if somebody is asking to give a class or give you a particular topic to talk about, you should be in a position to at least talk for 5-10 minutes and then make some references from Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so that should be the aim. So that requires some basic these basic Mangala Charan and other things you should know. What does Prabhupada talking specifically in the introduction, how the entire chapters are classified, what is the importance of Bhakti, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Upadeshamrita, how Isha Upanishad connects with all the chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So like that, we need to just have an overall understanding. Okay, that is why we are getting little deep dive into each of the chapters. So we are in third chapter now, almost end part of the third chapter, but a very interesting section. Arjuna started asking a specific question, and then from there, how does it gets okay. So the last section that what we saw was it's all about Krishna talking about importance of from karma kanda to karma yoga, and then from in karma yoga talking about nishkama karma yoga, right? So karma kanda portion is nothing but all the Vedic rituals, everything more from a sakama yoga, or like more from sense gratification, but slowly gradually progressing towards nishkama karma yoga. It is more from a detached state, but still I will work for as per my swadharma. That is what we saw. Okay. So last thing is in the 30th sloka, Krishna is directly saying this very nice sloka, right? Mayi sarvani karmani sannyasa atmatiyataha nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vigadajvaraha. So this is where he's saying, do everything for me, right? Do everything for me with full knowledge. So that is where he's giving that understanding. Nirmama, nirahankara, that portion we saw. This also we saw. Shraddhavanto anushuyanto muchyante karmashvi. Shraddhavanto. So with Shraddha, with faith and determination, only and the next things you have to do. What? And then next important word, third word is anutishtanti. Right? Ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavando anushuyanto muchyante bhi karma. So with anutishtanti, every day when you do a practice, when you do this anutishtanti with faith and devotion, definitely what is the benefit? Muchyante bhi karma. So you will come out of, you'll become free. You'll become free from the karma bondage. You'll be free. So what is that Krishna is giving us as a benediction? Like if you karma yoga, if you perfectly follow karma yoga, what is the benediction? So we are able to do that. Then what is Krishna giving that assurance is karma bhi, like coming out of it. Okay, this is where we saw last section. Okay. But if they don't follow, then out of their envy, if they don't follow the teachings, they'll be bereft of knowledge and they'll be befooled, vimudaha. So they are fools. This question also is not. Now Arjuna is going to ask a very specific question. So in this also we saw. Okay. So we saw Indriyat Indyartebhya Ragadveshu Vyavastitav. This also we saw. Now we'll get into the sloka where Arjuna is going to start asking. I think this sloka also we have seen, no? Shreyan Swadharmo Vignoha Paradharma Tanutishta Swadharmi Nidanam Shreya. This also I think we have seen. Yeah, from here we see. Though now this section is a very interesting section. Out of the all specific sections, this is very small section, but very, very important section that covers the entire gamut of knowledge, entire gamut of why we should read Bhagavad Gita, and also importance of the foundation for devotional service. Okay, so let's get into this section. So we will just finish this section for another half an hour and try to complete this third chapter. Okay, yeah, can somebody read the sloka?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Arjun Uvacha Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charanti purushah anichanam api varshneya balad iva niyojitah. Translation: Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? Should I read purport, Prabhuji?
Yeah, purport also is fine.
A living entity as a part and parcel of the Supreme is originally spiritual, pure, and free from all material contamination. Therefore, by nature, the sins of the material world, but when he is in contact with the material nature, he acts in many sinful ways without hesitation and sometimes even against his will. As such, Arjuna's question to Krishna is very sanguine as to the perverted nature of the living entities. Although the living entity sometimes does not want to act in sin, he is still forced to act. Sinful actions are not, however, impelled by the super soul within, but are due to another cause, as the Lord explains in the next verse. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so this is a very important question. Like, Arjuna's questions are very, very thought-provoking and bringing intelligence also. So in the previous sections, Krishna is saying, if somebody is not following religious principles, somebody is not following rules and regulations, karma bhi, they definitely incur sin and then they will go into hellish life. They are vimuda. So that's what he said. Now, Arjuna's point is, what makes that particular person to do this sinful activity? One is definitely he's not following it because of his sense gratification. But what is that? It is so much compelling that somebody does not accept Krishna, somebody does not follow rules and regulations, somebody does not perform yajna properly, somebody does not is more of sakama, very much more of sakama, and not are too much attached and not giving up attachment. So those are all some of the points, and then for that Krishna is trying to answer. Okay, so sometimes you will say, I don't want to do it, but I'm still doing it, right? So in a way, how does that come in? So this is a very important sloka. Okay, yeah, please read this sloka. This sloka is also, I think, by heart sloka, I think. Yeah. Okay.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahasano Mahapapma Vidhiyenam Iha Vairenam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of the world.
Yeah,
When a living entity comes in contact with the material creation, his eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust in association with the mode of passion. Or in other words, the sense of love of God becomes transformed into lust, as milk in contact with sour tamarind is transformed into yogurt. Then again, when lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath. Wrath is transformed into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you. So this is a very important line. It is lust only. So it is not, he is not talking about etc. This, nothing. First point is lust, last point is also lust. So if somebody is able to control their lust portion, then definitely all other things will be taken care. Okay. So in second chapter, we saw this 64 and 65 where Kama is like from that attachment, right? From that attachment, then the desire starts, and then with the desire unfulfilling becomes anger, and then from anger, krodha, and then from krodha, everything delusion, and finally complete fall down, right? So this is the more detailed analysis, but very nicely from a sloka itself, Kama esha, krodha esha. So Kama, and then the krodha portion, which is coming over from what? Rajoguna samudbhava. Because we are in contact of this material world, the Rajoguna is the predominant guna in the entire material world. So In one way, out of the three, Rajoguna dominates because that is what this material world manifestation was all done for. Because the Jivatma wants to enjoy, Jivatma wants to have all kind of sense gratification that can be directly provided or easily provided through Rajoguna. Because Rajoguna stimulates, Rajoguna triggers, Rajoguna has got that passion, everything. So that will induce that Jivatma to do more and more sense gratification actions. So what is this one? Rajoguna samudbhavaha. And what is it? Mahachano Mahapapma. This is the most papa. That is the worst and most thing with, okay, with the enam, like no, in this material world, Vairina. Vairina means the biggest enemy. Okay. Why Krishna is taking in the coming sloka, he will talk about why why to control the senses. In fact, controlling the senses is easy when compared to controlling the mind. And compared to mind, intelligence is much more tougher. And then above intelligence is the Jivatma. So in a way, step by step, Krishna will try to say, first try to control your senses. Then you will be able to successfully control your mind. Then you will be able to channelize and use your intelligence properly. Then the Jivatma will be completely fully focused and fully this one, so that the Jivatma's free will or Jivatma's willingness will be always towards the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, from the beginning to the last sense organ, it will become wandering. Okay, for example, that Jivatma is willing to do some act which is very abominable and want to enjoy material world, then immediately it will identify all kind of intelligent ways to live, right? So, for example, we want to live in a particular place, we will use all our intelligence just for sense gratification. So accordingly, we will work, accordingly the indriyas will work, accordingly the mind will go, everything just because of that one particular lust factor. Okay. So that's what Prabhupada is also making very nicely. He's talking about this entire material world is created for facility for the conditioned souls to fulfill these lusty properties. So one best example is what? This example you would have heard, no? This, what is this thing? Indra becoming a pig or a hog, right? So you know that story, most of you, right? He might one day he will be in his darbar, in his acharya. I think Brihaspati, somebody will come and then he will not give proper respect, and then he'll become a pig, right? So once he becomes a pig or a hog, he will be living in the gutter, and he'll have his wife, and he'll have so many small pigs and small piglets and so much of children. So he'll be just within that gutter, or what do you say, that drainage. So Narada Rishi will see, and then he'll just be very he'll be very compassionately come and say, "Hey, you come out of this. You are supposed to be the king of heaven, and you are supposed to rule the entire heavenly kingdom. So much of everything here. You are just sitting in this gutter." But that pig will say, no, I am absolutely happy. My senses are completely, enjoy, because I have a big family, I have a wife, and I'm happy in this, what do you say, this drainage. So it is all because of the lust. Okay. So we might think that, I don't have, I have controlled my mind, controlled this one, but definitely that lust will overcome, or that lust will ensure that we are completely bonded. And Prabhupada is also giving a very important line. Therefore, the word origin of lust is also supreme. Okay. Why? Because even though everything belongs to the Supreme Lord, Supreme Brahman, we were supposed to have in complete love and affection to the Supreme Lord. But the perverted reflection or the anti-reflection of the love is called as lust. Okay. So love means reciprocal, love means affection, love means more of spontaneously coming. Okay. Lust is completely opposite. It will ensure that you want to do it, it will trigger more passion, trigger everything. So that is why most of the youngsters or most of the people, they don't understand the difference between love and lust. 90% of based on the age, based on whatever category, it might just generally fall under the category of lust. They will just outwardly say love, this and that. But going into the details, if you find out, then it is just lust. Okay, so that is why we need to be very clear what is the difference between lust and love. Okay, so Prabhupada is giving this example of Hanuman also. where he's saying even that can be that can be modified, that can be channelized. Like for example, like Hanuman, even though he was very angry, he turned that anger into destruction of the Sri Lanka, right? When he went in search of Mother Sita, he was able to convert that wrath into a spiritualized one. Okay. So even that the so-called lust, now we might have lust for so many material things, but we can change that lust into love for Krishna. Okay. So whenever you see something nicely beautiful, you go to a shopping mall, you see some nice some sale going on. If you're able to remember that and then try to buy that for Krishna, try to be very eager to get that for Krishna, then that same lusty factor is converting into a love factor. Okay. Clear? So in Bhagavad Gita, one of the major lessons is this one. Somebody is asking, if I'm not able to control mine, it is all because of the lust part. Okay. And why it is coming? It is all because of the Rajoguna. Okay. Now he'll talk about the next levels. This 38th is also nicely how it is so subtly covered. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Durmena vidyate vani yata adarsa malina cha yato vena virta garbhas tata tenenam avetam. Translation: as fire is covered by smoke, as mirror is covered by dust, or as embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by the different degrees of this lust. The Prabhupada, you want?
It's a very interesting purport. You can read.
Prabhupada. There are 3 degrees of covering of the living entity by which a pure consciousness is obscured. This covering is but lust under different manifestation, like smoke in the fire, dust in a mirror, and the womb about the embryo. When lust is compared to smoke, it is understood that the fire of the living spark can be a little perceived. In other words, when the living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness slightly, he may be likened to the fire covered by the smoke. Although fire is necessary when there is smoke, there is no overt manifestation of fire in the early stage. This stage is like the beginning of Krishna consciousness. The dust on the mirror refers to the cleansing process of the mirror of the mind by so many spiritual methods. The best process is to chant the holy names of the Lord. The embryo covered by the womb is an analogy illustrating a helpless position, for the child in the womb is so helpless that he cannot even move. This stage of living condition can be compared to that of the trees. The trees are all living entities, but they are put in such a condition of life by such a great exhibition of lust that they are almost void of all consciousness. The covered mirror is compared to the birds and the bees. The smoke-covered fire is compared to the human being. In the form of human being, the living entities may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and if he makes further development, the fire of spiritual life can be kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire can be made to blaze. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So very nice purport. So making it very clearly understood. So Prabhupada and Krishna is giving 3 different analogies. One is the fires covered by smoke, which means kind of minute, not very this one, just by fanning, right? Similarly, if you have attended some havan or homam, the fire will not come through because of the smoke. But you are still very clear that it is easily possible just by just fanning it out, like just put some little air, little fan or something like that, immediately that it will come. So that's a lower level or a very quick one. Then the next one is again dust in the mirror, right? So dust in the mirror requires some little more effort, right? Where you have to put some hard work, you have to put some hard effort, then it will become clear, right? The third one is the most difficult one, where it is like the embryos within the womb, which is like this. We are actually suffering in that way. Where, like, if you read through Bhagavatam, um, there's a particular set of prayers by the in the womb of a mother. The sishu or the small baby inside that womb will do prayers. What kind of prayers? Wonderful prayers. It will convey that I am actually it is actually suffering like anything inside, right? Because within that mother's womb, that small particles of worms and other bacteria, it will actually keep on eating the pores and skins of the particular embryo, right? That tissue. But still, it will keep on crying, and it will realize that I have done a biggest mistake in my life. I don't want to come out of mother's womb. I want to remain as it is, because if I come out, I will again be entangled in this material world. So that way, Bhagavatam, that prayers is very nicely mentioned. But still, because of that karma, because of that the factor that it has to come out, still it will come out. Okay, so that is why generally when we say when the babies come out of the mother's womb, it says it will start crying immediately. Why? Because of this reason. But immediately, because of the influence of Maya, it will forget that particular nature. So moment it comes out, it will forget its original entity. It will forget its actual thing, and then it will think that I am free and happy. Okay, so that is where that portion. But most importantly, anywhere and everywhere, the lust portion will be there. That is the bottom line. It might be very openly visible. It might be slightly visible, or it might be completely covered also. So we may not know, right? In Manasiksha, there's a very nice small 11-song poem, Manasiksha by Raghunath Das Goswami. He talks about Pranishta and some specific things, even for great devotees, even for somebody who is working so nicely for Krishna, some point of the time or other, there will be lust factor attached into it. No, this is my position, this is my thing, I am to do it. I will go and meet newcomers, I will go and collect donation, I will do, so that they like that activity, so that they, in a way, that likingness is nothing but lust. Okay, so it doesn't really matter that oh, he's a throat to what's say a full-fledged karmi versus a devotee. Sometimes even among devotees, we will know, and they themselves will not even know that they are covered by lust. Okay, so it is very important that understanding this and coming out is not that easy. Okay, so Prabhupada is making it very nicely. So this human form of life is a chance for the living entity to come out of this material entanglement. But in that material entanglement, again, if the devotee that Jivatma is not able to understand what is its biggest enemy, it will be still under the clutches of Maya. So that is why Krishna consciousness provides a very good opportunity to come out of the lust. Okay, but it requires able guidance. Very nicely, last punching word is very important. So only through able guidance, we will be able to come out of the last point. Okay, that's good.
Hare Krishna, bro.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Avritam jnanam etena jnanino nityavairina kamarupeni kaunteya dushpurena nalina cha. Translation purport by His Divine Grace. Thus, the wise living entity, pure consciousness, become covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire.
Prabhu, read from this.
Purport.
From here, Prabhu, this one. From here, you will.
Advancement of material civilization on the basis of the sense gratification means increasing the duration of the material existence of a living entity. Therefore, this lust is the symbol of ignorance by which the living entity is kept within the material world. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually that so-called feeling of happiness is ultimately
enemy of the sense enjoyer. So we might think I'm getting sense enjoyment. Prabhupada will give the raw example, you have some skin problem or some scratch, So what you will do, you will try to scratch that particular portion. So when you try to scratch, you will get that little bit of happiness. Okay. But you might think, oh, that is what is the biggest relief. Actually, that scratching will more will aggravate that particular area and then this one, right? So Prabhupada will say, hey, all of you whomsoever trying to get this so-called material happiness is like that scratching at your arms or scratching at your finger, whatever be it. So that's what Prabhupada will say. So this living entity, even though it is actually purely consciousness, Krishna consciousness is already there, but still in the form of lust, it will be completely covered. The more and more you try to add the fuel to the fire, what will happen? The fire will keep moving, right? Yajna, whatever be it. So there is only one way is you stop the entire fuel path. Then only it has to go, it has to die down automatically. You can never try to satisfy with something else. That is why it's called Dushpurenana Alanena Analecha. Anal means in Indian language, anal means that the fire that keeps coming. Okay. Avartam jnanam etena jnanihe nitya vairina, eternal enemy. Okay. How does it come? Kama rupena dushpurena. So it is coming as the kama rupena, the kama portion or the lust portion. And how it is? Dushpurena alenana. It can never be satisfied like the fire. Right. So that is where Prabhupada is also making it very nicely that we cannot, we will never be able to this one, right? No. So there's another story also. You know that Birbal story, Birbal and Akbar story. Yes. Yes. No.
Many small stories in that Akbar.
No.
Many small, no, related to
No,
this.
no, Prabhuji.
Okay, one day Akbar and Birbal will be having some discussion, and Akbar will ask what is the biggest this one. Then this fellow Birbal will say, I have read Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says lust is the lust. How come lust will be there? At the age of 50, 60 years, I am not having any lust. Something like that will say, no, you just wait. One day I will try to give you a proper example. So after one day, suddenly Birbal will come to Akbar and say, can we go to one of his ministers? That minister will be very old. He'll be like kind of one of the oldest ministers. He'll be 90 plus. He'll be kind of bedridden. So this Birbal will say, can we go and have pay a visit to him? Yeah, of course. He's a very noble, very this one. So okay, we'll go and meet him. Then Birbal will put one condition. Can you bring your, I think, daughter or granddaughter, whatever be it, okay? So can you get your granddaughter, for example? So granddaughter will be around 16, 20 years. Okay, I'll get my granddaughter. Then Birbal say, no, you make her dress nicely and then bring. Okay, then Akbar will call his granddaughter and then she'll be around 16, 20 years. So she'll dress nicely and then all three will go. So the moment they enter the house, old minister will be lying in his bed. So what this Birbal will take, you do one thing to that granddaughter, you go and stand on the other side of that the bed, and then let your grandfather or Akbar stand this side. So he will say, okay. So that that girl will go and stand on that side. So the moment king comes, the first thing is that this minister, just by seeing but the king, he will not be able to get up, but he will just say pranams. But the moment that he saw that girl on the other side, his eye or his head will turn that side. Okay, turn that side, and he will not be able to, turn his head towards Akbar. Akbar will say, "How are you?" He will turn that face towards the girl and say, "Ah, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm trying to this one." Then, "How are you? Is sickness over?" No. So he will try to converse, but that fellow's face will be always facing towards that girl only. Okay, even at the age of 80, 90 years. Then Birbal will simply just sign Akbar, and Akbar will understand. Yes. So it is not that. So I mean, it is kind of a very simple story, but from the story, the lesson learned is it might look very simple and this one, but for many of them it is not possible. For some it is possible. For many of them, just coming out of that lust is not that easy. Okay. Let's go. Now this 3-4 slokas, progressively Krishna will talk about the steps. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
इन्द्रियाणि मनोबुद्धिर् अस्याधिष्ठानम् उच्यते विमोहयाति एष ज्ञानम् आवृत्य देहिनम्. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. But the enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all activities of the senses, and thus, when we hear about sense objects, and mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification, and as a result, the mind and senses become the repositories of lust. Next, the intelligence department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter, and thus with the mind and senses. The spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness.
Okay, Prabhu. I think
What?
that's fine. Thank you. That's fine. So, what are the sitting places of lust? Senses, mind, and intelligence. See, generally, people will say, yes, I can relate say lust to directly with senses. I can relate lust with the mind because that is what triggering. But how come intelligence also is a place for is a place for lust? Can somebody think about it? How do I relate intelligence along with lust? Prabhupada making it very nicely. Lusty intelligence influences spirit soul to acquire false ego and identify itself with matter. Any thought? Generally, intelligence means very good. Intelligence means proper, and intelligence means very nice, good, right? More from a positive perspective. But here Krishna is making it very nicely important. Even in intelligence, you will have lust. How?
Because Prabhuji, the soul is very much closely connected to intelligence.
Mm.
And when whatever we do, when any lust is when any lust means any lusty things come inside the mind, it's get connected to the intelligence, and it tells the person to do that thing directly. So that's why the person is directly affected. And since the intelligence is directly connected to the soul, and soul is everything in in a human being. So I think that may be the reason, Prabhuji.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. You're right. Anybody else?
But but the spirit soul is very pure, right, Prabhu? It cannot be impure. It cannot become impure.
Correct. It cannot be pure. It cannot be. Yeah. Soul is always pure. But why?
So the senses and mind, they actually pollute the intelligence. Intelligence is there in the is there in the living entity, but it gets polluted by the senses and mind, and because of the lusty objects.
Okay. Then somebody else.
Prabhu, intelligence should influence the mind, right? Not the spirit soul.
Okay. No. Intelligence will influence the mind. Intelligence will ensure that mind acts according to intelligence. If the intelligence is applied by the intelligence is utilized properly by the spirit soul. Okay. So the next sloka, we will talk about where is the position of intelligence, where is the position of mind, where is the position of senses, and where is the position of the Jivatma. Okay. So use of intelligence is in whose hand? Is in whose hand?
Jivatma.
Balaji Prabhu,
Yes.
whose hand it is? Yeah, I have good intelligence.
Yeah.
I have good intelligence, and for example, I'm a scientist, so I have very good intelligence to create a particular a fusion or a fission reaction. So
Okay.
how do I apply it? Either for destruction or for creation. If I use it for create destruction to create a atom bomb or some kind of this one, then the same intelligence is pervertedly converted into lust.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? So it is in whose hands now? It is in the Jivatma's hands.
Oh, yes, yes.
Jivatma.
But mind only influences, right? Oh, with
Mind
the
influence,
mind only, I'm thinking that okay, I have to do this because of my lusty desire in the mind. I am trying to do this either destruction or the um, construction, constructive work or destructive work. But
Correct. So mind will influence. You are absolutely right. So mind will influence. You do a distraction. To do the distraction, what is required? Intelligence is required.
yeah, but where soul is coming into picture?
So how does that mind getting triggered is because of that particular Jivatma only. See, Jivatma's desire. So Jivatma will be the next
The
sloka.
desire will be stored in the mind, right, Prabhu?
Correct.
Jivatma is separate; it is pure.
No,
All
no.
the desires are in the mind.
Jivatma is pure, but Jivatma's willingness, Jivatma's desire is always there, right? Jivatma's desire of feeling, willing, and thinking is always there, which is what will trigger everything. So what does it will trigger? It will trigger good things, it will trigger bad things, it will trigger. So moment the Jivatma's triggering willingness or the free will portion starts triggering, automatically the mind will start acting accordingly, and it will try to use intelligence properly or improperly. And if it is getting used for improper, then automatically the senses also will go in that way.
Prabhu, is it because of all the ideas that becomes a reservoir for sense gratification, and that's the reason it triggers, Prabhu?
Correct. Because mind is always just the complete triggering. I mean, the storehouse or reservoir of everything. So it triggers it. Okay. The most important point is um, what do you say? The free will or the desire of the Jivatma is all that next levels. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go to the next sloka. Then you will be able to understand it much more clearly. Okay. In the next sloka.
Thanks.
Yeah, the next sloka, it will not even this sloka. Okay, we'll go to the next sloka. Yeah, this sloka. Yeah, read this sloka. Balaji Prabhu, read the translation.
Yes, bro. Indriya, the translation, bro.
Yeah, translation.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind, and the soul is even higher than the intelligence.
Okay, so the senses are the outlets of the activities of lust. So how does the lust getting fulfilled is through the senses. My senses are to be fulfilled. So which requires the activities to be embodied. So how does the activities get triggered? It is through the mind's feeling within. And how it is getting executed? Through the intelligence. So in a way, and how does that entire thing started? It is all because of that particular Jivatma's desire. Okay. So in a way, first the topmost is, or we'll go from the bottom. The dull matter or whatever indriyartebhyah. If you see this from the sloka, indriyani paranahur indriyatebhyah paramanaha manasastu parabuddhi yo buddhe parasastu sa. Indriyani parani ahur indriyani parani ahur indriya artebhyah, which is what indriyatebhyah means. Normal dull matter objects, like whatever objects that you see, any material thing is actually very attractive, and as well as try to influence that senses, right? For example, if I have diabetes, if I still see gulab jamun or sweet, what will happen automatically? My tongue, for example, we are very hungry. I have some disease. When I see that particular sweet product, immediately my tongue will start watering, and then I somehow or other I have to grab it. Okay, even though I know I have diabetes, I have this problem, that problem, but it will still. But at that moment, the mind will simply say, it's okay, you try it, what happened, nothing, because the senses will be ready to grab. But the Jivatma should properly use the intelligence. What it should do, the intelligence will first say, no, don't eat it. It is because of you will get more of sugar. But what will happen? If it takes the action of it takes the decision from the mind perspective, somehow or the other, by hook or crook, by steel or whatever be it will try to fulfill that desire. So where is the point? The point is on the Jivatmas willingness, or Jivatma's free will, or Jivatma's desire. So that is where Prabhupada will always say the entire Jivatma's main point of contention is on that particular consciousness or the desire of that particular Jivatma. If the desire is clean, if the consciousness is clean, then the intelligence will be used accordingly. Then the mind will be controlled. Then the senses will be controlled. Okay. So for that consciousness or for the desire to be good, what is more important is to have a proper food, because food triggers the guna. Okay. So because we are all bonded in this material world, the food, the aharam, the food that we take will stimulate or will trigger it. So that is why we need to ensure very carefully from a food portion as well as from our association, other things. So that is why the desire is very, very desire, or you can say the free will, or that which triggers our intelligence, that which triggers or stimulates our mind, that which goes and then gets on. So that is why Jivatmas at the top level. So at one point of the time, for example, if you see all the yogis, all the rishis, munis, they're able to control their senses. Even, for example, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, they were able to completely control senses. In fact, Prabhupada one day will say, nobody can do a big tapasya like Hiranyakashipu or Hiranyaksha. They were standing on one, Hiranyakashipu was standing on the right toe for more than 10,000 years. He has completely controlled it. He has completely focused his mind. He has completely focused his intelligence. However, finally, when it is going to be applied for what purpose, the Jivatma's desire is what? Is to go against Vishnu, is to act against Lord. Then that become a total collapse. So that is why it is very important. What is the purpose of controlling the senses? What is the purpose of controlling the mind? What is the purpose of utilizing the intelligence? So in a way,
So whatever desires, strong desires are there in the mind, it becomes a free will of the soul also, Prabhu.
yeah, first is free will. The Jivatma's free will, correct. First the free will, because of the free will.
No, the free will can be means reshaped by the strong desires of the mind, is it?
No. The free will can, yes, no, the other way. Free will can reshape the desires of the mind.
Oh.
Mind's desires will not get reshaped. The free will
But new desires will come, right? That will get
Yeah.
attached to the mind.
Correct.
So if it is very strong, that will reshape the free will also, is it? Means
Correct.
it will
See, the desires will
back to the
continuously
free
keep
will.
coming. Continuously it will keep coming. For example, you have a desire now to attend class. Tomorrow you may not have the desire to attend class. Then what will happen? Immediately the mind will have that point, and then somehow or other, if you use intelligence, it will say, no, go back. And then accordingly you will go. Otherwise, it will succumb to that particular thing, and then it will go away.
Thank you.
Clear?
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the previous sloka, I mean, in the purport, it was written that the soul gets addicted. Even the soul gets addicted. In the which sloka was it? Text 39, Prabhuji. It's which one was it?
Yeah, Indriyani Mano Buddhir.
Yeah,
Asya
text 40. Yeah, the spirits will become addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistake this as a true happiness.
Correct.
Hare Krishna.
So it becomes addiction. That is what I'm saying. That the free will is completely addicted, or it will become completely, the desire will be completely into that particular material enjoyment. Okay. And mistakes this as true happiness. It will think that this is true happiness. That's all. So this again is a very, there is another story. You know the camel story? Did I tell that story? Yes, no? Quickly tell me, otherwise I'll tell the story. You know, in the desert, there is this camel, camel, when they keep walking, in that desert, it will find that cactus, cactus, right? Cactus will have what? Thorns. Then more of water. So cactus has got the propensity to attract water and retain a lot of water, this one. So what happens, the camel will go and will bite the cactus. Okay, the moment it bites the cactus, what happens? The thorn in that cactus will actually pierce the the tongue. And moment it pierces the tongue, what will happen? What will happen?
Blood will.
Blood will come.
Blood.
It will bleed. Okay, but what this foolish cactus will think, oh, this cactus is so tasty. From the thorn, I'm getting a lot of good taste. So let me eat. So that is what Prabhupada is giving an example. We even don't know that we are suffering. It is actually piercing us. It is actually killing us. It is destroying us. But we still think that that is our happiness. Okay, we are so much addicted to it. We are so much addicted to it. But actually, it is actually destroying our senses. It is destroying our mind. It is destroying our intelligence. It is destroying our actual free will. It is destroying our own age also. Right. So after many years, somebody will say, I wasted my entire life listening to this Ilaraja music. I wasted my entire life listening to this. Somebody will say, it is too late, right? After many years, the memory will be gone. After many years, they will not be able to recite slokas. After many years, their mind will not be in a position to observe new things. So that is why the realization has to come very early. The utilization of the age is very, very important. The utilization of time is very important. Okay. But Prabhupada is giving us that, as I was mentioning, no. So even at whatever age, even a beginner can, Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner, I was mentioning about this point, right? So it doesn't matter about what age you come, it's okay. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so Mahavadanya, so benevolent that he's giving Krishna Prema, he's giving that Radharani's Prema just by chanting the holy name. So it doesn't matter like, oh, I came to know about only after 50 years, after 60 years. That is okay. Even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles. So from any stage or from any time of understanding, any time of understanding of its urgency, one can begin. So that is what the Katvanga moment, right? So I am even I know so many devotees at the age of 70, at the age of 80, at the age of 60. For example, our Kandarpagoti Prabhu, no, he is now 90, but he came into Krishna consciousness only at around after 60, after complete retirement, around 70 years, right? We don't know whether we will be able to come to Krishna consciousness at the age of 70, no. But he came into Krishna consciousness at 70, but that willpower and the determination, nobody will be able to have, right? So he himself is proving age is just a number. Right? So in that way, Prabhupada is so nice that like he is able to bring in everybody and anybody, right? From a small baby to any age-old person can immediately follow Krishna consciousness. He doesn't require, oh, I have to do abhyasam. No, if you are able to get that full conviction, this one, immediately you will be able to get that the complete benefit. Can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles. In fact, I know many of in Chennai, many of the retired people, after many years, they've started doing, in Chennai, a lot of people started coming to Krishna consciousness, they started following yoga, so many things, but that is also absolutely fine. There's nothing to be worried. But whenever you ask them, they will simply say, oh, I have wasted my 40 years of life. I was just working like this one. So the more they regret, but the more they are very attached, then we can see that they are ready, they are fully, into Krishna consciousness. Okay, so let's keep going. This is what the sloka is. Indriyani paranyahur, indriyatebhya paramanaha, manasastu parabuddhir, yo buddhya parasastu sa. So senses are superior to dull matter. So you can easily focus on senses. Then beyond the senses, higher than senses is mind, higher than the mind is the intelligence. But higher than the intelligence is what? Jivatma. Okay. So nice. You can read through the purport very specifically. Prabhupada is nicely bringing this nice sections in it. Okay. This sloka, this line is given. Even though the soul is the master of intelligence and mind. So, to answer Balaji Prabhu's question, Prabhupada is making it. Who is the master of intelligence and mind? The soul. Because of the soul's free will, because of the soul's willingness or desire, then it will act. Okay, so master of the mind and senses, intelligence, and the senses also. Still, unless it is strengthened by the association with Krishna and Krishna consciousness, there is every chance of falling down due to agitated mind. Okay, so we have to be very, very clear on that part.
One question. When there's an analogy of these horses like as senses and mind.
From Isha Upanishad, yes, Prabhu. But not from Isha Upanishad, from some other Upanishad. I think some other Upanishad. Horses, then the rope, then the person sitting there, then the passenger. That one, yeah.
So in that, the passenger is the soul.
Passenger soul.
Right? And but here it says soul is the master. So in that we see that different analogy, right?
Yeah, no, in that also, see, the master will come, master will say, hey, go this direction, go that direction, right? So master has the complete control of the entire chariot, entire horses. So if the master says go in right direction, what will happen? The rope, the person who is sitting there, the intelligence who is sitting there will have to turn the rope or will pull the rope or loosen the ropes of the 5 horses, and accordingly it will turn the direction. If the master who is sitting in the chariot will just stop, what the chariot driver or intelligent will do, he will just pull it hard, which means he will pull the mind, which means pulling the mind through the ropes, all the senses also will be controlled and then it will stop. So ultimately in that analogy also, who's the master? The passenger is the master.
So then the passenger as a master, we need to strengthen the soul, right? Or we need to strengthen the intelligence.
We have to strengthen the intelligence. We have to give proper instructions to the intelligence. We have to utilize instructions. You have to utilize the intelligence properly. That's all.
There is something called as Atma Shakti, right? Atma Shakti, Atma Bal. We always refer to Atma Bal, Atma Shakti. What is that?
The Atma Shakti, Atma Bal is all through the intelligence only. Because when you seek intelligence, in 10th chapter, Krishna will say, I will give you dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upyodate.
Correct.
Krishna will directly say, I will give you that buddhi yoga. I'll give you that buddhi. I'll give you that intelligence. You don't have to worry about it. So in a way, that is the
intelligence is nothing but Atma Bal.
Atma Balam, yeah, you can say that. Okay, read through the purport. This purport is very nice for you.
This 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is conclusively directed to Krishna consciousness by knowing oneself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without considering impersonal voidness, the ultimate end. In the material existence of life, one is certainly influenced by propensities for lust and desire for dominating the resources of material nature. Desire for overlording and for sense gratification is the greatest enemy of the conditioned soul. But by the strength of Krishna consciousness, one can control the material senses, the mind and intelligence. One may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in a transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses and the mind, by steady intelligence directed towards one's pure identity. This is the sum total of this chapter. In the immature stage of material existence, philosophical speculations and artificial attempts to control the senses by the so-called practice of yogic postures can never help a man towards spiritual life. He must be trained in Krishna consciousness by higher intelligence.
Thank you, Prabhu. First sense the Bhagavad Gita purpose the 3rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in the matter of karma yoga or discharge of one's prescribed duty in Krishna consciousness. So the last sloka, what Krishna is saying, thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence. O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. Okay, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this enticement. So this is the sloka where very importantly, Krishna is emphasizing the point of spiritual intelligence. How do I get the spiritual intelligence? is from the 4th chapter about the transcendental knowledge. So intelligence requires knowledge, and knowledge about everything. Knowledge more from a self perspective, from knowledge about the Supreme Lord, knowledge about everything. So that is why 4th chapter will talk about karma portion also more from an intelligence or a knowledge perspective. 4th chapter also will talk about importance of activities. 4th chapter also will talk about who is the Supreme Lord, why should I worship him, and what are all the important things that is to be understood. Okay, so that this is kind of a pointer towards the 4th chapter. So, Atmana jahi shatrum mahabahu. Okay, so you can easily conquer this lust. Kama rupam durashadam. So dura means but very difficult. But the kama rupa, which is very difficult, can be easily controlled through atmajahi, through that particular intelligence, which requires knowledge. Okay, so that is very delicate. Evam buddhi param buddhva samstabhya atmanam. We will get into the next level. So, in a way, 3rd chapter we conclude with Karma Yoga, where Krishna is talking about Karma Kanda, which means what? Just follow Vedas, fulfill your desires, whatever you want to follow, they will get it will be automatically fulfilled. So Karma Kanda is all about my sense, how I follow Vedas, rules and regulations. I will follow yoga, Karma Yoga. I will do this, my senses are getting. So that is first level. Then next level is I will follow these rules and regulations, but without expecting any results, more from a Karma Yoga perspective. So what I will do, I will start offering. I will ensure I'll do yajna. I will actually perform yajnas and this one for the satisfaction of the devatas. And in reciprocation, devatas also will give whatever I am required. So in a way, I am also, it's a kind of win-win. So that is also kind of one way, but more from a typical Karma Yoga. So from Karma Kanda, I'm moving towards Karma Yoga. But there also, what is it? I'm fulfilling my own desire. That is what is more from a Sakama Karma Yoga. Then slowly, I should become a Nishkama Karma Yoga. I will offer, I will give everything without any attachment. Then after that, Krishna is talking about what? Following certain procedures. Otherwise, what will happen? He's giving the example of Janaka. He's giving his own example. And then last portion that what we saw is ensuring that particular Jivatma, what is it that is a compelling nature that makes that particular person perform sin? Prabhupada, Krishna is talking about the lust portion. And how come one can overcome lust is to control the senses. And to control the senses, mind should be fully controlled. And if mind should be fully controlled, requires intelligence also to be focused, which means that Jivatma, which is sitting on the top, should have, should utilize its free will or should utilize its the desires in a proper way. Otherwise, the lust is very, very important. That will drive away everything. So this requires knowledge. That's where, and what is that knowledge? More of a spiritual knowledge, more of an understanding. That is where this chapter will conclude. From 4th chapter, the knowledge portion of that particular sections will. Right. Let's stop here. It's Karma Yoga. Very simple chapter, but powerful chapter compared to all the other chapters, because this is like applies for everybody. In 4th chapter, we'll talk about what is the different types of karma, how that karma has to be done, how do I understand every action, how do I put it into different perspective, karma, akarma, vikarma, yajna, dana, and tapasya. So those things also will be covered. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, here Jivatma and Paramatma is different, Prabhuji.
Correct.
Jivatma is the soul, but Paramatma is also the thing, na, जो हर व्यक्ति के अंदर में है, Paramatma form में. That is also the. So what's the line of difference between Paramatma and Jivatma, Prabhuji?
Jivatma is individual. It differs from every living entity. Paramatma is the same Paramatma living in
everyone. Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So Jivatma is unique and identical.
Okay.
But Paramatma is identical. Sorry, Paramatma is identical. Even though the same Krishna as Paramatma sitting in every living entity, he is the same. There is no difference in this one. But Jivatmas are individual and unique.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
The Paramatma's desire is always same. The Paramatma sitting inside me, Paramatma sitting inside an animal is also the same, and his desire will be the same. What is the desire? Somehow or other, Jivatma comes out of this one. So Paramatma's work also is the same. Paramatma's sanctioning authority is the same. Everything will be the same. But individually, Jivatma's desires vary because of the karma, because of the lust, because of the modes of influence. So in that way, the action, everything will also vary from one Jivatma to other Jivatma. But Paramatma's activities are always the same, irrespective of what will be the type of. It will always be the sanctioning authority. He will fulfill the desires of the Jivatma. He will be the witness of the Jivatma. He will just wait for the Jivatma to come back.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhuji, one question, like soul, I've heard that inherently it is already knowledgeable, it is already, capable of doing everything. But, because of our conditioned state, it is covered by all these layers of our lust and, like all our karmic, like reactions. So because of which, like we are in our present state. So the soul proper has has proper knowledge, has 100% knowledge and strength and everything. That Atmabal which we were talking about earlier, and the passenger like in the chariot, he's knowledgeable, but like they're just covered by our conditioning, and so we need to remove that conditioning and achieve our our true self basically, and realize who we are.
It is covered by what? The conditioning is nothing but the modes of passion, modes of ignorance, more or less kind of a lust factor. Like this example today we saw, depending either it is smoke or it is the dust on the mirror or kind of an embryo. So either way it is same. Yeah.
So once we remove all these coverings, we can realize our true self and realize who we really are and what's the purpose of our existence, and we can focus accordingly towards God. Thank you.
Simple example Prabhupada will give is, there is a small lamp or a candle, a small baby is trying to go towards it, right? So initially it will not know, but the moment it goes, once it is burnt, immediately it will get that intelligence. What is that intelligence or knowledge? But if I go there, I will be hurt, right? So that is why it is like important. So afterwards, it's a progressive knowledge, and progressively it will keep on going. But still, if it goes and falls, then it is completely at the will or the free will of misuse of the free will of the particular will, right? So that is where, like, the more and more we get knowledge, more and more we understanding, we should see how we try to. So that is why the same applies to our addictions also. We know that it is wrong. We know that we should not do. We know, but still we are going there. It is all because of our own lust. Okay. Okay, Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananda Koti
Jai.
Jai. So next Saturday we'll continue.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.